Welcome back to Hot Takes and Deep Dives. This is Jess, and I am here with Jackie Tohn. You might know her from 3 seasons playing Melrose on Glow on Netflix. You might know her from hosting the new Netflix cooking show, Best Leftovers Ever. You might also know her from American Idol. But if you're like me, you know her from high school.
What?
We went to Oceanside High School together.
And you're just springing this on me now.
I know, we've been chatting for a little while, and I didn't want to say it before.
How old are you?
I graduated in 2000.
I graduated in 98.
Yeah.
But okay, because here's what we can't tell the people like, oh my God, we were friends in high school and I forgot.
We were not quote unquote friends in high school, but I think you dated, I'll bleep it out. Did you date?
Yes.
Okay, so I was good friends with him.
Wait, this is crazy.
I know. No, what's funny is when the minute we got on the Zoom, you were like, I feel like I know you. We're connected. I'm like, you don't even know, babe. We are connected.
Wait, this is crazy because now when I'm looking, it's so funny. When I came on the Zoom, I looked at your face and I was like, oh, I know you. And I just felt so connected to you. Like, oh, I've known this person. But I just thought it was because you were a fellow Jew. I mean, I feel like if you're named Jessica Rothschild and you look like you look and you're beaming like laser beams of light at me, I'm like, oh, I know this Jew. But I actually do.
No, I don't know. We never hung out.
Yeah, we definitely did not hang out.
But you were but I was always aware of, and we were never in classes together because you were 2 years ahead of me, right?
And I feel like in high school, it is that weird thing. Also, we had a huge high school. Like I had 500 kids in my class.
Totally.
So it wasn't like the kids that were like kids that were 2 years younger. What's funny is most of my friends in high school were actually 1 year younger.
Obviously, I've been following your career since day one of your career because you are our hometown hero. Like when you were on, I mean, like for real, you're the one who like became successful in a public way. There's no other like actor, actress from Oceanside.
Not in our age group. Like I feel like the Pamers, like David and Steve Pamer might be from Oceanside. And like, I mean, not to brag on the pod and make people feel less than, but yeah, my headshot hung over the register at Ocean Chemists, our local pharmacy. Sure it did.
So here, there's so much that I want to get into with you, but let's just start. Actually, I want to start at the present day. So
can I also just say something that's a little weird? It would have been the easiest way to get me on the podcast to be like, yo, we went to high school together.
No, I'm not doing. No, I'm not going the easy way out. No,
because you didn't do that, no. And that's funny because people ask me to be on their podcast 4 times a day. And I'm like, I check it out. I see if I want to. And yours, I was like, oh, I genuinely wanted to.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to pull the high school card yet because I wanted to be a reveal on the show.
Wow. Because it worked. Look at you.
Look at me. Let's start at present day. So how most people know you is from Glow. So what the hell happened with Glow? Like it was on for 3 seasons. Walk me through this because you guys were renewed for season 4.
Oh, we were more than renewed. We shot 2.5 episodes.
And then you were canceled? Like, what happened?
Well, COVID, right? That bitch came to town. So basically, we got picked up for a 4th and final season after season 3. So we knew we weren't going to make 5. Like we knew the end of the story was going to be season 4. The entire season was completely written. All of the actors from the show were in town. People from London and Scotland and New York, and everybody was here. We started shooting season 4 in March of 2020. Oh. And that is what happened to Glow.
So why didn't they pick back up when things started shooting?
Well, that's its own sort of series of questions. First of all, it's not okay here. And in LA, I'm in LA. It's not cool. I mean, it's the COVID situation is completely out of control here still. But even when things did start shooting, I think it just became like a cut your losses situation, which I only half understand because as I just mentioned, we'd already shot 2.5 episodes. All the sets were built. The writing was bought and paid for. The costumes were bought and paid for. The actor. So there was so many things in line. Like at a certain point, it almost felt like, wouldn't it just be easier at this point to just point the cameras at us? It's all written, like, let's go. But it's not, because with COVID, it's so much more money. They have to get a COVID officer. People have to be constantly tested. We're also wrestling. This isn't just like we're trying to make a political drama and there's like 4 people in the cast
Right.
and they can be sort of socially distanced in a big office. Like there's 14 wacky ass clown ladies wrestling with each other. It's just not an easy show to make in the middle of a pandemic. And I think they just had to make a decision.
So did they have to like keep you on hold? Like, were you able to take other jobs, or were you on hold during this period where it was like unclear?
Okay, sort of an inside baseball question, and I like it. I knew that after Glow season 4, I would be free to do whatever I wanted because then my deal would be over.
With Netflix.
Yes. Well, I have my leftovers deal, but with Netflix for Glow. And so that's why I'm saying it's a little inside baseball, because it does get a little layered. So basically, if we didn't know if Glow is going to get a season 5, like if we were maybe on the bubble, then we would still have been quote unquote owned or under contract, because you have to wait until you find out if you get a next season to be able to work again. But since Glow was 4th and final, we knew that when we were done shooting season 4, we were free to go and do whatever else. So after the season finished shooting, I could go try out for other series or do whatever and try and get, of course, as an actor, you want to capitalize on whatever momentum you have.
Sure.
And as a person who started acting when I was 9 and didn't get my first big gig till I was 36, I'm ready to capitalize.
Don't brag.
Yeah, don't brag about 27 years of 27 workless years. I was a bitch who was trying to capitalize on the fact that anyone was looking in, my direction in a real way for the first time. So,
interesting.
So after season 4, we were going to be free. So when we were waiting to hear, we were basically on hold. So as it got pushed and pushed and pushed, and there were, some cast members that were like, okay, just tell us already. And I was sort of like, I'm so Glow for life that I was like, this is not a good business move, but I was like, you guys can take 9 years to tell me, as long as we end up making this season. Like, I love this show.
Yeah.
I want to make this show. Sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. Going back to Oceanside, you were always kind of the pride of Oceanside because from the jump, you were seemingly successful. Like, you were on the Nanny when we were like in junior high or like elementary school.
Uh-huh.
You were on an episode of The Sopranos. What?
No, I'm just thinking like, it is wild. Like, I was a child who was sort of succeeding in the entertainment business, certainly by the standards of your local hometown.
You played Fran Drescher twice on The Nanny. Like, talk about your roles on The Nanny.
My multiple roles on The Nanny that are not the same character, which is just like, that's the most 90s sitcom shit ever. They're like, just bring that other little one back and have her play a different character, be fine. Like, yo. But what happened with The Nanny was, so I auditioned. I had this incredible agent, Aggie Gold of Fresh Faces Agency, who worked out of her back house in Baldwin, Long Island. Okay, you have all the information you need. She was incredible. So she was one of those agents. I mean, you already know exactly who she is just by her name, but she was one of those agents that just like, she was so hungry and she would hustle so hard. And her clients were like her children. I mean, my parents are incredible, but it was like such a vested interest. So she got this audition for The Nanny and she sent in my tape. And then I remember it was like my first big thing, of course. And my parents like woke me up one morning and they like came into my room and they were like, you got the part in The Nanny. And I was screaming and jumping up and down. And then I flew to LA with my mom, and the 94 Northridge earthquake happened 2 hours after we landed. And we were staying in a motel and the pool next to the pool, and the pool cracked open and the room flooded. And we had to put our suitcases on the credenza that was falling to the ground. And then my mom's friend was like, I have to go to the underground garage and get the car before it gets crushed. And we were like, you're going to get crushed. But she went down there anyway and got the car and pulled it out. That was my first Rendez vows with California and an acting job. I should have known that's so funny. I forgot that story, that like, I should have known that my career was going to be rocky. The first job I ever got, I landed in an earthquake, literally. So anyway, I think we had to go back to New York because the Nanny stage crumbled and flooded. and they had to rebuild it completely. So a couple weeks later, I came back to do my first episode of The Nanny, where I played Tiffany, Fran's second cousin, twice removed. I showed up at the door, right? I showed up right at the door. And what's funny is I got the part because I did an impression of her, and my voice isn't, unfortunately that far from hers in the first place. And when I got there, they were like, "Don't do the impression," and I was like, "Oh, all right." So then I sort of like was just this like New Yorkie Brooklyn kid, as opposed to like doing this whole thing. Which was fine with me. Oh, and then I became very good friends with Ben Salisbury, who played the son.
Yes.
So 3 or 4 years later, he called me and he was like, "There's a script where they need like a mini Fran. And I suggested you." And they were like, it's kind of a smallish part. And we really want to only do local hire. So I told them, "You'd fly yourself out here." And I was like, "I will." He was like 14 years old. Yeah. We were 13 or 14, and he was like doing deals. He's like, "But I told them, no way, Jackie, you'd fly yourself out here." And they were like, what's interesting about this business is like the people in power are like, "We'd never ask someone to fly themselves out here. That's not." But meanwhile, if you put that opportunity past in a non-working actor's desk, they're like, "I fly myself to fucking Romania to do 4 lines in a Dracula spoof just to be working."
Because people are hungry to work. Like if you're trying to get a career going as an actress, like hell yeah, you're gonna you will pay the $300 from New York to LA.
Yeah, at that point in the 90s. And so he said, and then they called me and they cast me. I don't even remember making a tape for that one. They were like, "You would do it?" And then I also was like, they're cool with me playing just a different character, but okay. I looked much older, in fairness, because I had like grown up. I was like a baby the first time and like a teenage bitch the second time. But anyway, yeah, it was crazy. And the second time, I don't even think, I was Francine.
Francine. Was that like her cousin or something?
No,
like...
the first time I was her cousin.
Okay.
And the second time I was like in the classroom when she's going to go, she wore a really sexy outfit. So in the beginning of the episode, she fights with a lady at Loman's over a sweater in the sale bin. And then she wears that very sexy sweater to go bribe Brighton's teacher into giving him a second chance at some paper. And she shows up and the lady she fought with over the sweater is the teacher. Okay. So when she shows up, I'm in the classroom and I'm in detention. And she's like, "Oh, detention, sweetie." And I was like, "Yeah," as I'm putting on makeup. I go, "Yeah, I was putting on makeup in class." And she's like, "You really shouldn't do that." And I like clip the little compact clothes and make some nanny-ish quip. And we have like a little repartee. And then I leave and I get up and I'm in like a tiny, tiny mini skirt. My mom was worried.
I love it.
"That's very short. That's very short." My mom is like a bra-burning liberal bitch. And she was like, "You're 14.
It must have been the same Baldwin agent who got you the gig on The Sopranos.
Sure was.
So what was that experience like?
Well, what's funny about having been on The Sopranos season 1 is nobody knew what that was, right? So it wasn't like being on similar, like I did an episode of The Boys season 1. No one was like, "Oh my God," like now they are. Now everyone hits me and they're like, "You're on, that's the best show ever." But when I shot it, it was like a year till it came out. No one knew what it was. It's like, so when I did The Sopranos and I auditioned for it, I'm a singer as well. And so when I tried out, I said I just went to Jersey. I shot this episode of this show, The Sopranos. And everyone was like, "But you're an alto." And I was like, "Okay, no, it's a TV show." And now, of course, we obviously know that. But yeah, I auditioned. It was kind of a weird story. I don't ultimately know. I was supposed to be recurring. And then as far as I understand the story, the creator of the show's daughter dropped out of college and was like, "I'm going to be an actor." And so she sort of like half replaced me as Meadow's best friend. Oh. So she didn't replace me. Like I was Heather and she was Hunter. I played Stevie Van Zant's. I mean, this is the same as the fucking earthquake story. I mean, I finally got a big gig on a TV show to be recurring and I got fired. And I was like 18. It was like, it's truly, this business is like so incredible and exciting and life affirming. And it's also emotional, psychological warfare and heartbreak, just truly constantly.
That's what I hear about being a writer or a cast member on Saturday Night Live. Like literally on the show, it's constant anxiety and stress, always feeling like you're not good enough.
and constant rejection, because you're working all the, I mean, being on SNL, I mean, is the very heightened microcosmic example of what it is to be in this business, right? It's like just constantly putting yourself out there for someone to tell you that it's someone else, just truly on a daily basis. And then and what's wild about that is that not only is that so heartbreaking and painful and just not a normal, healthy, really way to live, but then on top of that, you have to wake up the next morning and do it again if you want to have any chance at a career. Because then when the next movie audition comes in, you can't just say, no, it hasn't gone my way every other time, I'm not doing it, because you miss all the shots you don't take. So then you're just like, you have to just wake up the next day and be like, yep, let's go. It's like you have to just like internal combustion engine, reinvigorate yourself every single time.
And you've been doing this since you were a kid. So I'm curious, like, two things. Number one, how was it for your mom? Because it's really the parent that's taking the child talent all around for auditions and all that. So I'm curious, how did it play into your relationship with your mom? And also, how did that agent, how did she get, operating out of Baldwin, how did she get you in front of the Nanny people or even the Sopranos people, which it was still HBO?
Right. No, it was, I mean, listen, I'll answer the Aggie question first. She was a super legitimate agent. She wasn't, like, by the way, Baldwin is Long Island. And if you live on Long Island, it's not that hard to be, I mean, you certainly not cut to, but like, this obviously pertains to my mom. You can't be a kid actor without a chaperone. You can't be a kid actor without a parent. In my case, I was very lucky to have a loving and supportive parent who wasn't on my dick or manipulative or put on your makeup and put your hair, like I would like eat my SpaghettiOs in the car on the way to the audition and stain my shirt. And she'll be like, well, just tell them when you get in there that you had the SpaghettiOs in the car. You're coming straight from school. What do they expect? Where like another mother would get there and be like wringing out the shirt and freaking out over the kid and smile. And my mom was like, you're 10. Just tell them you got SpaghettiOs in your shirt.
Just tell them you're 10.
Yeah. Like if they don't understand that you're 10 and you spilled, then I don't know what to tell them. So it was like the pressure didn't feel like it was coming from there. It only felt like love and support. And obviously since I was a kid, I needed my mom. She really, and I realized when I was a kid, but it wasn't really till I was in my 30s that I was like, oh my God, what she sacrificed. Now, granted, it was a massive addition to her life too. We are incredibly close and best friends, and how fun it was for us to go on these journeys. And now this like woman who is the daughter of Holocaust survivors is on these sets in California and getting to meet Fran Drescher on the hit show The Nanny and taking me over to Sesame Street. And then we're meeting with Big Bird. And it's like, it's fucking cool for her too. Going backstage because we knew people on Broadway. And it was just like, it's an exciting life. And like I said, it's heartbreaking at times, but we had an incredible time, my mom and I. And so she really sacrificed so much, and I mean selflessly too. I can't remember ever even hearing about it from her. But then as far as Aggie's concerned, it's anyone's guess how that lady made it happen. She represented Joanna Garcia, who was like on Reba, but at the time she put her on like Are You Afraid of the Dark on Nickelodeon and other series. She put Tatiana Ali on Fresh Prince.
Yes.
Like Aggie wasn't nobody. She was known. And what's really funny is I did the wrap-up show for the Howard Stern show the other day, and I told Baba Booey, Gary Delabate, I jokingly, because I love to say Aggie Gold of Fresh Faces Agency out of a back house in Baldwin, Long Island. It just rolls off the tongue. And he goes, shut up. I've worked with Aggie Gold. We used to call her to get all our kid stars for the show.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like, that's my point. I was on Donahue as a kid because they were looking for kid actors. And Aggie was like, she was like the go-to mover shaker.
She got it done.
And ultimately when we parted ways, it was because like I was such an LA kid. And this was before everyone was emailing headshots. And it was like, there was sort of a delay. I mean, if we're being honest, I have regrets about ever having left, but not now because things have worked out so incredibly.
Why do you think you should have stayed with her?
Well, for the years after I wasn't with her, it's not like things were blowing up for me because they were going really well when I got here. And then it sort of slowed down. And then it felt like I mean, it's very rare in this business or in any aspect of your life, in any business, to have a person that works so hard for you, right? Like I've had many, many managers since I've lived here. And one by one, it hasn't worked out because I've been disappointed every time and just been like, I need a person. I mean, she's a hustler, baby. Like, it's insane. And to the point where, like, I'm 40 and I should shit a kid out if I'm ever going to do that. But I'm so busy working and constant. I do want kids. And
I remember you were doing theater, like you did theater out in LA and in New York, but then it seemed like the next big break you had, or maybe it was your big break, American Idol.
Oh yeah.
Is that what you would say was your big break?
Hard to say.
Or would you say it's Glow?
It's 100% Glow. It's 100% Glow. But American Idol.
You became known from Idol. You were a known performer off that show.
It's hard to say because American Idol afforded me the opportunity to like tour, like not for a lot of money, but like, and not in a way that was, we're not talking Lady Gaga tours. We're talking me flying myself on 3 mini planes to Kearney, Nebraska and playing to 18 kids in a student union. That was my touring after American Idol. But yeah, I mean, it put me on the map in some way, but I wouldn't say, which is I have a funny comeback story. I wouldn't say, to my knowledge, it affected my acting career positively in any way, actually. What it did really, though, was give me the confidence to feel like, oh my God, every audition isn't the end all be all moment of my life, right? So I was like, I'm on the road, I got gigs to do, I'm doing stand-up, I'm doing music. Like, it made it so, and I wasn't making a lot of money, but it made it so I wasn't having to like, organize and clean friends' closets to like pay the rent. I was able to like at least, and I think when you're less desperate, this is the hard thing about anybody getting a job, right? If you're desperate, they see that and no one's interested. And then when you have other stuff going on, they're like, we want you. And you're like, well, but I have the other. So American Idol helped in that way, but major crazy twist. It also partly got me Best Leftovers Ever.
How?
It's insane.
You were on season 8 of Idol.
9, I think.
Was 8 or 9? It was 2009, right? Season 8
in 2009.
So this was Adam Lambert's season. So I want to go really deep on Idol, but tell me how this got you. I want to go deep on the Idol experience, but tell me how it got you the cooking show.
So I went in on a meeting with the magical elves, the geniuses behind like Project Runway and Chopped and all of your favorite reality shows. They're sort of best in class. And I had heard they were looking for like Netflix talent who was funny and just going to take meetings and see who could host this new cooking show. And I was like, well, me. I was on some list and I went to go meet the magical elves. And these 2 rad female execs walk in the room. They introduce themselves. Third guy walks in the room. He looks super familiar. Can't quite place it. He goes, oh, it's nice to meet you. I'm Toby. And then he goes, I'm fucking with you, Jack. Come here. And then I look at him, similar to what happened with you. And I'm like, Toby, what are you doing here? And he was like, oh, I run the elves. Toby was like a low-level segment producer who chased the contestants around on American Idol my season.
And he remembered you.
Not only did he remember me, when I walked in the room, he was telling this story and he was like, you guys don't understand. When Jackie was on Idol, we didn't know what to do with her because we were like, she's a star, she's a comic, she's a personality, she sings. We knew that you had it, but we were like, this is not a person for American Idol necessarily. This is a person for a different situation. And he's like, and when you came out on Glow, I was like, yes, somebody fucking found Jackie Tohn and hired her. And then he was like, and I remember when you were on Glow, I would tell people stories like that girl was on American Idol and she was so funny. She would like roast Seacrest to his face and we'd have to edit it all out because we were like, this isn't a comedy show. Like what? She was like Joan Rivers roasting everyone. And it was like, well, we can't put that on TV. That's like not what this show is. But all the producers would like find you and interview you and like try and see what bits you could do. And I just always remembered you. And then I was so happy for you. And when Glow happened, then your name came across my desk for this show. And I said, I personally think the host of this show is Jackie Tohn. Let's meet her. And if it doesn't work out, we can see everybody else.
That's
Dead.
Incredible.
Triple coffin emoji. Dead.
And now the show is on Netflix.
And now Best Leftovers Ever is streaming on Netflix.
Today.
Watch all 8 episodes.
All right. American Idol. I want to go through every step of this. So where did you audition, firstly?
Jersey. East Rutherford, I think, at the Izod Center with my best friend Ev.
And I know at that point it's just producers who view you, right? And they hand select the ones.
At that point, it's hardly even producers. You're in a stadium, right? So 18,500 people were in New York, and 108,000 people total tried out that season. So the odds of ever even getting in front of anyone, forget getting on the show. The odds of you know how many good singers were in that? I mean, there were people next to me that were blowing my doors off. So when you're in the stadium, basically they have PVC piping set up, and then a sheet separating 12 cubbies. 6 cubbies here, 6 cubbies here, 2 low-level producers at a table in each cubby. And by the way, a sheet is separating you and the person in the next cubby. And I don't know if you've ever tried to sing through a sheet, but you can fucking hear it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not okay, I can sing and it's quite these people are right next to you and you got some sick church singer just blowing and you're yeah. And then you're just trying to be I hope you dance or whatever you're singing. You're just are you even hear me over this? I think I did. I'm in a New York state of mind. Ooh, I think that's what I did. And they were that was cool, but why did you sing that? I was I love Billy Joel. And they were yeah, but if you're going to be an artist, you're not going to be a Billy Joel type artist. And I'm yeah, no, okay. I play, okay. So they're just, they love a box over there. They love are you blonde and pretty and country? Are you a church singer? Are you a rock singer? It's they love a box.
Was Paula still judging at the time? It was
Paula, Simon, Randy, and Cara DiAguardi.
Right. Mm-hmm. And at what point do you get in front of them? And where was that considered the Hollywood round?
No. So first I think it was 6 auditions before you even meet the judges. So you have to go get your bracelet on one day. Then the next day you go and you sing in the giant stadium with the 18,000 other people and the massive lines and stuff. Then I got a green paper that meant that I went literally where the athletes come out under the stadium to where other producers were. So that was my second audition. And I remember them sitting there. I'm going in my mind right now. I was so nervous. And there was a blonde girl named Ashley Hollister who was singing. She was on Amy Winehouse level. And you were and I don't think she made the show. And I'm just looking around okay, that's the level we're at. Cool. Good thing I'm wearing 2 belts and high tops and a leotard. So then, look those pictures up. So then is this boring? So then I meet
No. This is fascinating.
Okay. So I meet these other producers back there. And then they have us come back the following day to meet the judges. So that would have been audition 3, but then they brought too many people to that. And the judges said, we're only going to see 75 people. And there was 150 of us. So then they had to cut again. And then those 75 of us saw the judges. And out of the 18,000 people in New York, they showed 3 of those auditions on TV and one was me. And then I got through to Hollywood Week, made it through first round, group round, final solo round, which was 7. Now we're at 7 times I've sang for them. I think 4 of which have been televised. And then I did the live round. And then our season was weird. It was a top 36.
Okay.
It was the only time they ever did that. It was a shit show. So they never did it again. So it kind of sucked that we were guinea pigs because I do feel, and maybe I'm wrong, that if it was a top 24 and then they knocked off 2 each week like normal, I wouldn't have been one of the first to go by any means. But they sent 24 people home at once. It was like a bloodbath. And so then it was 12, then they made a top 10 and the top 10 toured and it was weird.
And 1 and 2 were Adam Lambert and Chris Allen.
Correct. Both angel babies.
Now, the song that you auditioned with, you sang I'm Yours by Jason Mraz.
That's right.
That's right. And it's known out there you actually dated him.
Forever. Yeah, it's wild.
You dated him for a long time?
Years and years and years. From 2001 to 2004, he was like sort of this very presence in my life. Yeah. I love him.
How did you meet him?
At a coffee shop in LA.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. He was performing. I was like a fangirl. I mean, I wasn't like, but I saw him perform and I was like, yo, that was nuts, dude. I think we started like actually talking on like AIM or something.
Uh-huh.
He's very funny. He's very bright. And we were kids. I think I was 21, he was 24. And, we probably wearing similar high tops. We were like literally kids and we just like loved each other. And
I used to love him. I've seen him live a bunch.
Sickly talented man.
So did you pick I'm Yours? Because this was years later that you were on TV. Was this just like as like a warm tribute to him?
No, not even remotely. I mean, I don't think I'd even spoken to him in many, many years. He called me after he saw it and was like, dude, that was sick. Thank you. Because actually it was before the song was a hit.
Wow.
So it was just, I think the record had come out and I listened to the whole thing. And the reason I really sang it actually is because when I first sang New York State of Mind and all these other things in my pre-auditions, by the time I was in front of the judges, I sang an original. So I brought my guitar and I sang an original and they definitely tell you never to do that. And I did it and it worked and they liked it. And then they said, well, what do you know that's like a pop song? And at the time, I obviously loved his music, but it also was like sort of the angle, like sort of if I was going to make a record, it would probably be similar to like, well, you done me. And it's just like jazzy and moves and fun vocal runs and fun vocal percussion and acoustic guitar. And it's like, that's the music I had been making for many years, obviously very influenced by him. And so I was like, well, it would make sense to sing a song of his. And listen, in 105,000 people, did I ever think I was going to be fucking close? I was like, who gives a shit? I'll sing Jason's song. Like there was no real, oh my God, like, am I going to do it? I just kind of did it.
Did you expect to go all the way, or
no!
So were you expecting to get cut?
I had nothing but failed before that. I mean, like I told you, I got to California and the earthquake ruined the net. Then I got fired from the Sopranos. Like it just was the only jobs I ever got didn't even go in like weren't even wrapped in a bow. So with American Idol, I was like, I mean, funny enough, I'd been in the entertainment business 19 years at this point. It was like I was only in my 20s, but
Paula Abdul shouted you out in some appearance. I don't know. Tell that story because this is interesting.
This is nuts. I had an Us Weekly. They asked her who her favorite people were, and Us Weekly did their own piece because they saw the Leno thing, and they put a picture of Paula Abdul, and Danny Goki, and she was on Leno, and Jay asked her who her favorite contestants were, and she goes, I can't say. And then she goes, but I love that Jackie Tohn and Danny. It really was looking good, which is why I say if it was a top 24 season, I mean, also I think a big part of that situation sort of crumbling was that I stopped listening to myself and started listening to the producers, as you sort of have to. And since I was this person that was like a personality on the show and I was wacky and I was wearing wacky clothes and my sort of whole identity, I must have not felt, because of all the rejection in my life, if I had to psychologize myself, I must have just not felt good enough about my skills, which were enough and are enough. And I was overcompensating by leaning all my value into being funny, weird, and quirky and loud, when really I was plenty and I could sing and I could hang with these kids as far as vocally and like, and then some, if we're talking about a lot of them. So I look back on that whole thing and it was, quite a learning experience, but it wasn't until years and years later that I was able to like take away the things from it that I learned, because I was so bitter about it for so long. I mean, I really thought it was, to answer your question of like, did you think it was just going to work out? At the beginning, no. But as it kept going on and on, so then I pitched, Aerosmith and Carole King and Corinne Bailey Rae and Duffy and all these rad artists and Pink for me to sing. And they were like, what about Little Less Conversation? And then they said it like it was a good thing. They were like, we want to completely open the live shows with you. So we don't want you to do something low energy, when classically on that show, the only time people thrive is when they do a slower song, because they can really find the nuance and the juice. Like if you're doing something high energy, you can't really, you make me want to, it's like, what? It's cool in the moment, but like, you're not sitting there like hanging on vocal runs and drippy, gorgeous vocals. It really is just energy. And so they suggested Little Less Conversation. I never heard this song. I'm not an Elvis fan. I don't. And so they were pushing it and saying like, you don't understand, like this song has done amazing on the show and we want to open the season with you. And now looking back on it, like opening the season is like the kiss of death, because what happens is you go first and the judges have nothing to compare you to. So I did as well or better than anyone else that night. But since I went first, there was nothing to compare me to.
You were the least memorable, maybe because you went for like everything great
happened. I mean, that's another
know?
part of it too, because by the time the end of the episode and people are voting, you're the farthest away. So that's a problem. But the major problem is when the judges are critiquing you. If you go sixth, they know that 5 people went before you and they were how they were. But if you go sixth, there's a point of reference. If you're first, it's just like, whoa.
You then were actually on a Bravo reality, like a songwriting competition show called Platinum Hit. Did you like this experience? I love this.
No.
You didn't like? I really liked that show.
Probably one of the worst. You did like it?
Yeah, I loved the show.
A lot of people love that show. Yeah, I mean, it was one of the worst experiences in my career for sure.
Why?
Absolutely funny small.
Why didn't you like the experience?
Oh, because it was miserable and it was negative. It was
because this was with Cara Giuguardi was. I don't remember what her role was, but it was also Jewel, a judge, and Jewel. Like,
Jewel was such a nasty, nasty person.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You know, she's like works in now she like works in like wellness and like therapeutic healing.
I'm assuming she's like an incredible and kind lady, but like it's a very different story when you're the contestant and she's a judge. She just didn't want to be there. She was so above it. She was so nasty to all the contestants. It was so unpleasant. And they just really treated us. And also it was more Big Brother than Idol. So like with American Idol, obviously when we were on stage, we couldn't have our phones or anything, but like we were still able to like go on the internet and like have a life. But with Platinum Hit, they took away we had no computers, no phones. And so you don't understand what that's like. I didn't speak to my family members for like however long I was on the show, a month, and you're in this hotel and you're so competitive with these other people. Everything becomes your life. You can't eat when you want. You can't, like, if you have to take a pill, you have to like ask someone. And it's just like, it was way more Big Brother-y than it was like a chill songwriting competition. It was an awful experience.
So how did you get the part as Melrose on Glow?
I had just played Gilda Radner in a movie on Netflix called A Futile and Stupid Gesture that David Wayne directed. And that was a whole other unbelievable experience. And that was the first real big gig I got.
David Wayne did Wet Hot American Summer. So he's like a genius.
My absolute favorite. So I auditioned for Gilda and I played all her characters from SNL and I had millions of costume changes and I really went in hard on this audition and I got it. And the casting director, Allison Jones, her protege, who in her own right had now become a massive casting director, Jen Houston, who cast
Orange is the New Black.
Orange is the New Black. Look at you. Allison Jones had shown Jen my Gilda tape and Jen was in New York and Allison, from my understanding, was like, we got to get this girl to play Gilda. Like, how do we do it? Because I think they were seeing famous people. Because the other people that were playing the legends in A Futile and Stupid Gesture, like Joel McHale played Chevy Chase, and Donald Gleason played another guy. Like, so it was like the names were very big, and I think they were trying to get a famous girl to play Gilda, and then then they were like, well, we can slum it and get this girl that really is like Gilda. So that happened, and then so Jen Houston was aware of me, and happened right after that. I did Gilda in August 2016 and Glowcast in April 2016 and Glowcast in August. And Jen, I walked in and I was like, dude, this is the best script for the Glow pilot. This is the best script I've ever read. I was like, thank you so much for seeing me. I'm Jackie. And she's like, oh, I know who you are. And I was like, how? And she was like, I'm a fan. I saw all your Gilda tapes. And I was like,
Oh my God.
what? And I almost started crying. And she was like, stop, calm down, let's go. And then I went in the room and I tried out for a lot of characters on Glow. Tried out for Ruth a bunch, tried out for Jenny, tried out for Sheila. Because I think they were initially looking for like more of a Paris Hilton type for Melrose.
Mm-hmm.
Like a blonde party girl.
Having spent all this time in LA auditioning for stuff, and it's very hard. You can audition, like year after year, you're going out for pilot season, and then you finally become a series regular on a Netflix show, a successful Netflix show that's a hit that goes on for several seasons. What is that like? I guess, what, aside from financial, temporary financial security and, just general employment, what is the best thing about finally getting one over the net, like the way you did with Glow?
I don't think it's even possible to answer, because like it's one of those experiences. It's ineffable, right? Like especially because I know people who, and I'm not saying, oh, I'm better because I tried for longer. If anything, I'm insane because I tried for longer. Mm-hmm. I mean, the fact that I was as unsuccessful / rejected / occasionally got a bit part here or there for 27 years and continued is wild. And, I know people who tried for 5 years and were like, listen, man, I can't. It's, this isn't. And over the years, how long I've been doing this, I have so many friends, and God bless, like, no judgment if they were like, listen, I just want to have a family and not feel bad about myself every day and just get sort of a stable job. But that was never me.
Like, did you ever get to a point where you're like, all right, you never got to the point where you're like, all right, I'm just going to like I'm going to take a day job. Wow.
No, I was never, ever, ever. And this is why I think I truly, like, a part of my brain might be broken. I never, ever, ever was going to pack it in ever. The other thing is, I don't want to paint it like I was just constantly failing and rejected. I had so many massively, massively incredible close calls that, for what it's worth, that's probably why I continued. I had development deals with networks. I had incredible showrunners who showran Roseanne and created Mad About You, writing me my own show. And then we were going to pilot, and then the pilot never got made, or I did pilots and they never got picked up. I mean, countless. I did 5, 6, 7 pilots that didn't go. And, so there were these. Then even American Idol, oh my God, it's going to be, and then it's not again. And then Platinum Hit, it's not again. And then a development deal. Yeah. Okay. Not again. Oh my God, George Clooney's watching the tape. I'm the choice. Okay. Again. It's okay. Not again. I mean, it's Vegas, baby. Like,
it's kind of like, I don't know if you watch Drag Race, but RuPaul.
I do.
Well, it's like RuPaul says, it's charisma, uniqueness, talent, and nerve. Like, what you're describing is the nerve, and that's what you have. You're like, no, it's gonna happen, and you have to keep going.
If I was sitting there for 27 years and the phone never rang, I would truly be a psychopath for continuing. But it was more like, it's the ups and downs. I mean, it's truly not that I'm very lucky not to struggle with addiction, but I maybe am ignorantly likening it to that. But it feels like that is what my brain attaches to. Like, I'm so close. Like when you're at a slot machine and it's like a 7 and a 7 and a cherry, you're like, one more.
What was
my whole career was a 7 and a 7 and a cherry until Glow.
You're talking about you've alluded to this George Clooney thing. I'm assuming it's a movie or whatever. What have been the big of all the stuff you've been up for in your career and didn't get? What has become, like, what do you wish you had gotten the most? Like, what part became the biggest success?
Frozen.
Idina Menzel's part?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, see, I silenced the bitch. I got Rothschild's jaw on the table. See? There I am. Yeah, it was between me and Idina for Frozen.
Wow.
That one stings. But, here we are. Here we are.
Give me another one. I could do this all day.
Oh, you're asking the right lady if this is what you want to do all day. I mean, I feel like
Give me one more. That was a really good one. Give me one more.
Well, that's the best one I have for sure. But because the other ones were more like painful for me. Like it was between me and Taryn Manning for Hustle and Flow back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
It was between, I mean, a lot of them were like things I tested for. Like this wouldn't have been massively game changing, although maybe it would have. But I tested for Mad TV like many years in a row.
Yeah. Did you ever audition for SNL?
I auditioned once. I think I sent in a tape one year, like one of the years I was doing a play called Utopia in New York, and I was playing 10 characters. And so I think casting must have come, and they were like, you need to make a tape for SNL. And I did, but it didn't go further. Whereas with Mad TV, I was living in LA, and I tested like many years in a row.
I could talk to you all day. Jackie, this has been fun catching up from high school. Although I don't know that we ever had the initial catch up.
I feel like this is a great one. Email me a picture of you from high school.
Ooh, because okay, I can do that. Yeah.
Because I already think I do know. I feel like I know what you're doing.
I wonder if we were in a class after all. So we got Best Leftovers Ever on Netflix. Will there be, do you know if there's going to be a second season? Like, what are you hoping?
We don't know yet. We don't know yet. Netflix like runs all the numbers. We're really optimistic. We were in the top 10 TV shows on Netflix for the whole first week we came out, which is enormous. We were the only non-scripted show on there. So that was really incredible. Best Leftovers Ever, basically, I would describe it like Chopped meets Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Mm-hmm. And you're the host, we should say.
And I'm the host. I'm one of the judges. And our chefs get given in round one. We say something like, oh, you guys weren't feeling well last week. So all you have in your fridge is some, toast and applesauce and cauliflower rice. And we need you to turn that into those leftovers into a flavor bomb brunch. And then the three cooks do their best. And in round two, my fridge is sort of a character on the show. And I have my quote unquote leftovers in there. So my takeout. And so then we have the cooks randomly choose one of the takeout leftovers. Let's say it's Mexican food or French or Italian. So one will get chicken parmesan, one will get ossobuco, one will get whatever. And we have them turn the takeout leftovers in round two into high-end cuisine. So we're talking plating and drizzles and the whole thing. And so basically we just score on ingenuity and how well you transform the dish from leftovers. Like it doesn't fare too well if you just take the leftovers and throw them in a pan and make a hash. Right. Like we're talking like turn ossobuco into two different types of curries in a pakora. It's insane.
I love it. I watched a bunch of episodes last week.
Yeah, I'm super proud of it. I mean, it's one of those things too where like we had so much fun making it that I was like, is this going to be 100th as good as it is fun to make? Mm-hmm. And then I watched it and I'm like, oh, this is even like the graphics they added and the music and the movement and the editing and the comedy. I mean, it works.
By the way, I know that you came out with 2 albums like post Idol. Are those available on streaming, like on iTunes?
Oh, I mean, sure. I'm not hawking them super hard, but I think they're on iTunes. Okay. I should probably listen to those again real quick before I peddle them. But no, I'm proud of all the music I made. I mean, it's of a time, right? I mean,
where can everyone follow you online?
Follow me on Instagram at Jackie Tohn, JackieTohn. That's right, Jackie Tohn. That's what RuPaul does. That's right, at Jackie Tohn.
What is your favorite season of Drag Race?
Well, I just started in the pandemic, and Nina West is a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she was on 11 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I haven't seen her season yet. So I have trouble finding things on streaming, and I don't know why it's so easy for people, but I think I need CBS All Access or something because seasons 1 through 5 are on Hulu.
Yes.
And then only 12 and 13 are on VH1. So how am I going to get the rest?
Yes, they're on CBS All Access. And also
now I have to buy that? That's ridiculous.
It's like I think you can get a free trial.
I'm just paying for so many things. Like when I was excited to cancel my cable and just have Netflix or whatever, now I'm like getting back up to the price I had when I had cable because I have Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, and I'm paying for like all those other randoms. 2
of the All-Star seasons and 2 of the good ones are also on Hulu. Just FYI.
Oh, good. But I feel like I wouldn't want to watch an all-star season until I watch all the seasons, so I know who I'm working with. Like Project
Yes.
Runway, like I'm in my mind close friends with all those contestants. So by the time they're on All-Star Stars, I'm personally happy for them. I have vested interest.
Jackie, you're the best. Guys, you can follow me, Jess XNYC, follow the show account, Hot Takes Deep Dives, and you got to come back. I mean, this is so much fun.
It was so nice talking to you, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.